Alright, so we're going to talk about Egyptian numerals right now. Alright, so here are the Hindu Arabic numerals. Now I'm going to draw, or attempt to draw, what the Egyptian numerals look like in the name. So one looks just like that. It's just the line, and it's called the staff. Each of these have a description. Right, 10 looks like kind of like the intersection symbol in set theory. Okay, looks like an arch here. The name, though, is called the heel bone. Heel bone. 100, and this can be written both ways, but 100 is the spiral. Sometimes you'll see the spiral go the other way, but as long as it's a spiral, that's 100. 1,000 is a little bit different, and this is actually drawn several different ways. It's supposed to be like a flower. A lot of them look like this, and it's called the lotus blossom. Okay, 10,000 is actually a pointed finger. Okay, it's called the pointing finger. 100,000 is actually called the tadpole. And I'm not very good at this, so I apologize. So this is actually drawn differently depending on what area you're at, but there's sometimes like an eye there, and maybe something like that. It's called the tadpole. And then 1,000,000 is called the astonished person. And so that kind of is, it's like I'm not very good at this one either. I apologize for my lack of artistic ability. Something like this, like hands in the air. Sometimes this is rounded. Something like that. It's called the astonished person. I always thought, got 1,000,000, they're going, woohoo! Okay, so those are the Hindu Arabic numbers. These are the Egyptian numerals that represent that. Okay, this type of system is called an additive system. Okay, so if if you see how I can put the spiral the other way, you can put the spiral going this way, it still is a spiral. Okay, so whichever way you decide to do it, keep going that same direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 6. That looks kind of like an E there. That's bad. Let's do one more. And then let's do a few of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so to figure out what this number is, you just fill in. This is a 1, 1, 1, and 1, and this is 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and then you have all these hundreds. Okay. All right, and then you would just add those up. Okay, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 750, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. 754. That's how you would convert that. Okay. Now we can go the other way. Okay, let's say I wanted you to write 300,222 as an Egyptian number. Okay, well, we know 100,000 is the tadpole, and there's 3 of them there. So we do 1 tadpole, 2 tadpole, 3 tadpoles. Okay, so that's 300,000, and then the next thing on here is 200. So that's spirals, so you would do 2 spirals, 1, 2, and then I got 20, so that's 10s are heel bones. I need 20, so that's 2 heel bones, and then 2 staffs. So there you go. So this is the ancient Egyptian numeral that represents that Hindu Arabic numeral. So this is an additive because you just add all these numbers going across. You just add them up. Okay? All right. So that's really basically, we're not going to do any operations with that, but that's really the simple Egyptian numeral system. Okay, so the next one we want to do, and I've already downloaded some longer notes on this, but I do want to mention the Roman numerals. Briefly talk about this, and you can watch the other one. The other one goes in depth, real depth on how to convert. But we should know Roman numerals are letters. You have I, V, X, these are the main ones, and then L and C, D, and M. So this is 1, 5, 10, 50, 100, 500, and 1,000. Those are your Roman numerals and the Hindu Arabic numeral that corresponds to it. Now this system was developed in around 500 BC to 100 AD when the Roman Empire was at its peak. Okay, so this is the table. So this is also an additive one, except as you go left to right, if it's decreasing, you just add it. Okay, so let's say we had a Roman numeral like this, CLXVII. Okay, what would this translate to Hindu Arabic? Well, this is 100, this is 50, that's 10, 5, 1, and 1. Since this is bigger going and it decreases going from left to right, you just simply add up these numbers. Okay, you would add up all these numbers. Okay, so this would be what? 167. 167. Now, let's look at another one. Let's see here. Okay, MCM XCVI. Okay, let's translate this to Hindu Arabic. All right, so M is 1,000, C is 100, M is 1,000, X is 10, C is 50, V is 5, and I is 1. All right, so as you move left to right, if you go from a smaller to a bigger number here, okay, so I have 1,000 is the first one, but then notice I go from 100 to 1,000. So what that really means is you subtract the 100 from the number after it. Okay, so CM is going from smaller to larger, so you're going to subtract that. All right, the same with this here. This is smaller to larger, so you're going to actually take 50 minus, subtract 10 from it. Okay, so that is your XC here. And then 5 and 1. So now you just add these up. And so you have 1,000, plus 900 oh, I said X, I had 50, or C is 50, that's actually 100, that's my bad. That's 100. So that's 90, then plus 5 and 1 here. Okay. So this is 1,990, and then 5 and 1 is 6. So that's 1996. This is the year 1996 is what that translates to, really, if you think of that. Okay. So as you move left to right, if you ever go from a smaller to larger, you're going to have to end up subtracting those two. So hopefully you remember that, because remember IV, when you start talking about, you got I is 1, I is 2, I is 3, then IV, though, is 4. And then IX is 9. Okay, IV is 4, IX, because look, I'm going from smaller to larger, so I take 5 minus 1, 10 minus 1. So anytime you go left to right and it goes from smaller to larger, you have to subtract that smaller number from the larger. Okay? Alrighty. Trying to think. Let's see. So let's go the other way. So let's do, let's have you take like the number 249. Let's write this as a Roman numeral. Okay, so let's think of this. So let's do 200 first. So 200, so we're going to break this down, expanded form. So we're going to expanded form. 240 plus 9. All right, that's expanded form. So 200, well, remember 100 is C, so this would be C. So let's first break this down even further. 100 plus 100. Remember, 40, we have 50, so this would be 50 minus 10. And then this would be 10 minus 1. All right, so we know this is C, that is C, 200. 40 is actually 50 minus 10, so you take the 10 and then the 50, so that's 50 minus 10. And then 9 is 10 minus 1, so that's IX. Hopefully you know that IX, which we just talked about up here, is 9. So now you put all those together, and so you get C, C, X, L, I, X. Okay, so this right here is 249. 249. Okay, so that is an introduction to Egyptian, ancient Egyptian, and Roman numerals. So what we'll do next is, after this, in the next video I'm going to do, I will talk about Chinese and Greek numerals. Okay?